Almost 20 years after its first release, the Black Swan by Nassim Taleb recently made its comeback on the New York Times bestseller list. The current global events, AI, and the uncertainty we operate in under made a lot of people realize that we live in a world dominated by Black Swan events. Nassim Taleb's books are some of the few that I reread every single year, and The Black Swan is one that completely changed the way I view the world. In this video, I want to cover the book's biggest ideas that had the most impact on me. The feedback I get from a lot of people is that Taleb's books can be complex. So I want to simplify and illustrate the ideas in different examples across different disciplines. We're going to cover books on the collapse of the Bronze Age, or Casanova's memoir, Albert Barabassi's work on network effects, and how the concept of the Black Swan can explain the rise of cultural movements like hip-hop. So go grab a beverage and let me help you read the Black Swan. First, what is and what is not a Black Swan? A lot of people throw the word around without really knowing what they're talking about. Taleb explains this concept by building on ancient wisdom from thinkers like Juvenal, who allegedly came up with the term of the Black Swan. When everyone thought that all swans are white, seeing a black swan was an unforeseen event that brought a revision of belief. Once you see one black swan, it immediately disconfirms the assumption that all swans are white. So a black swan event is defined by Taleb as a low probability event with huge consequences. 9/11 is one of them, completely unexpected with extreme consequences. On the other hand, Taleb argues that the global pandemic or the 2008 financial collapse are not black swans. We had pandemics in the past, and it only makes sense that a deadly virus today will be spreading faster by flying with Delta. Same with the financial crisis. Taleb predicted the collapse of Fannie Mae by looking at the fragility of the organization and the types of risk they were hiding. But this globalization and connectivity we live in is not new. Eric Klein shows in his monumental work that that was the case 3,000 years ago as well. In his work, he shows how ancient and wealthy civilizations in the Near East and the Eastern Mediterranean collapsed one after the other in the year 1177 BC. Their economies were globalized and integrated, leading to a multiplier effect of catastrophes like earthquakes and attacks from invaders. Globalization is great, but it comes with a side effect, making systems less robust to black swan events if we're not prepared. Now think of a modern and hyper-globalized world we live in. How a remote event in the Strait of Hormuz can affect entire economies. A black swan is mostly based on how much information we have. 9/11 was a black swan to most of us, but not to the terrorists who knocked down the towers. We're not necessarily trying to predict future outcomes or events. We're trying to understand how fragile a situation, a system, or an organization is. We want to avoid bad surprises. On the other hand, black swans can bring positive surprises, an unforeseen event with positive consequences. And we'll cover how to collect these positive black swans later in the video. 2. Extremistan versus mediocristan. To understand where we should be wary of black swan events, we need to understand in which domain we operate. As Taleb outlines throughout the book, life is dominated by extreme and unpredictable events. History doesn't crawl, but jumps, because most life events happen in Extremistan, not mediocristan. To illustrate this, imagine a stadium full of people. Let's say you want to measure the average weight there. Even if the heaviest person in the world enters, it will not impact the average that much. Their contribution will be diluted in the mass. So weight is a property of mediocristan. Now let's say you have the same stadium, but you're trying to calculate the average wealth there. And Elon Musk enters. The average wealth will be heavily skewed because wealth is from Extremistan. The difference between the two domains is the impact of the outlier. Wars used to be from mediocristan. It was very hard to kill one person at a time without one incurring the risk of death. But today, all it takes is one nerd in Virginia to push a button and destroy a whole neighborhood. Now in the practical side, careers tend to be either in mediocristan or Extremistan. Highly desirable careers. Athletes, actors, artists, writers. These professions have a winner-take-all effect. A few players make most of the money. Ronaldo or Messi are making hundreds of millions of dollars, while the average professional soccer player globally is probably making 60K a year. J.K. Rowling, Stephen King, and a few other authors are selling most of the books, while most aspiring writers are probably making a living as a barista. Kanye West is filling arenas, while the average artist can't even break through. The rewards are huge, and the winners are highly visible. But we don't see the graveyard of aspiring soccer players, artists, actors who never made it. So Taleb recommends, and I agree with him, to pick a career in mediocristan. Think of dentists, where the top 1% are probably making millions of dollars a year, but the average dentist is still making a good living. Same with engineers, salespeople, or marketers. Yes, the rewards in non-scalable professions tend not to be as attractive or extreme, but the success rate is a lot higher. However, there is a way to secure a stable, safe, and lucrative career in mediocristan while operating in Extremistan. Let's say being an engineer by day and a writer by night. Some of the most prominent writers, thinkers, and scientists pursued this strategy. 3. The barbell strategy. Aside from being an astute and clear thinker, one of Taleb's main strengths is taking something that makes sense intuitively, something that stood the test of time, and wrap it in a sticky concept. He did it with anti-fragility as a concept, he popularized the Lindy effect, redefined the concept of skin in the game, and with the concept of the barbell strategy. He explained it through the investment lens, but also in pursuing riskier careers.
That's what I call cash. I don't want to make a penny from that money. I just want it to be protected from inflation. Nothing. I don't want to make a penny. And then I have what I'm willing to lose. Now, what I'm willing to lose, I'm willing, to make speculative bets with. I have a collection of speculative bets. It's my play money. And so far, the strategy has worked rather well because I never had a surprise.
Numerous scientists, novelists, writers, creatives organize their lives in a way to be barbell. The idea is, in life, you want to spread your risks in the extremes. You want to be both super conservative while taking super aggressive risks on the other side. You don't want to put all your eggs in the mediocre middle. This applies to careers. Advice like follow your passion, which will most likely be a career in Extremistan with winner-take-all effect, is bad advice. Albert Einstein was a scientist, but he did pursue the barbell strategy. He made a living most of his life as a patent clerk. He knew science is a career where you can work for decades with no apparent results, and you need to pay rent. Kafka, one of the greatest novelists, only sold a few copies while still alive. He mostly worked in insurance to earn a living. Baruch Spinoza was making lenses by day while philosophizing by night. Taleb made his money trading while writing his books at night. Bertrand Russell talks about this in his book In Praise of Idleness. Writers and creatives need a stable profession as a main source of income to retain their intellectual freedom. Ensure you have that stable income in mediocristan, but keep putting out your work and your name out there in Extremistan to increase your exposure to luck and a rare event. Because yes, I agree, today anyone can publish their work online. There is no gatekeeper. Whether it's documentaries, videos, or books, nobody has the monopoly anymore on production or distribution. But the flip side is the concentration effects are huge. Today, if you're a documentary producer in the UK, you're competing with every other documentary producer in the world. And the power laws naturally concentrate the success within a few players, making it really hard for the newcomers to penetrate the network and gaining popularity. But at least the barbell strategy will allow you to produce what you really enjoy and authentically like without being stressed about making a quick buck. 4. The narrative fallacy. New York City gained a reputation for being one of the most robust and adaptable cities in the world. It survived catastrophes from the Great Depression, epidemics, 9/11, 2008 financial collapse, and avoided bankruptcy multiple times. And journalists love to attribute that to New York City's unique strength. It just keeps on bouncing back because it's New York City, as if ancient prosperous cities were not robust or strong before they collapsed. Aleppo, Damascus, Athens, Rome, Carthage, or even more modern cities like Baltimore, once a top-tier city who got displaced by Philadelphia, only for Philly to get displaced by New York City. What these journalists don't get is that yes, New York City is strong, robust, it has unique attributes, but there is a graveyard of collapsed, robust cities who didn't enjoy the same amount of luck as New York City. Which brings me to the memoir of Giacomo Casanova. The life story of the Chevalier de Saint-Gat, as Casanova loved to style himself, is an account of someone who enjoyed an endless lucky streak. Just imagine someone who keeps winning in a casino. Every chapter is him taking foolish risks and surviving, avoiding ruin, evading prison, and meeting the right person at the right time who's going to save him from yet another predicament. Some would say that Casanova is just extremely smart, has superior skill, and knows how to take risks. But what people don't get is that there is a graveyard of dead Casanovas who didn't enjoy the same amount of luck. And New York City might just be the Casanova of cities. We humans love narratives, as Taleb outlines throughout the book. Whether it's corporate executives crafting yet another polished slideshow to explain a failed or successful quarter, a political scientist finding non-existent patterns or connections in his geopolitical analysis, or a fortune teller soothing our anxiety. We humans are reason-finding machines. We're just suckers for it, which is harmless if it's on inconsequential decisions, but extremely harmful when done by policymakers or financial institutions. 5. Do not be Turkey. Bertrand Russell originally came up with the chicken problem. Taleb coined it the turkey problem for the American audience. The idea is a turkey is fed for 1,000 days by a butcher. Every day reinforces the turkey's belief that the butcher loves turkeys. Each daily observation of being fed lulls the turkey into a state of artificial tranquility. Everything looks stable and predictable until the day before Thanksgiving, when the turkey will incur a revision of belief. Being butchered after 1,000 days of being fed is a black swan to the turkey, but not to the butcher. So in life, you want to avoid being a turkey at all costs. You don't do that by making predictions about the future to soothe your anxiety, but by being robust to a future black swan event. Let's take the 30,000 employees recently laid off by Oracle. Of course, layoffs are a normal thing, but let's say you're one of those long-term employees who spent 25 years in Oracle. Every skill you learned, every approach to solve problems will probably be specific to Oracle as an organization and useless outside of it. IBM laid off tens of thousands of people in the 90s, and some of them never found a job after that. Every year of service in the company reinforced the belief of the employee that the employer cares about them. Until the metaphorical Thanksgiving. The barbell strategy, having a skill set on the side or a business to fall back on in case your employment is jeopardized, makes you more robust. Taleb wittingly said that it's better to be a banker and a belly dancer in case one goes out of fashion. And another way to not be a turkey is to not upgrade your lifestyle with every raise or promotion. You want to build a redundancy in cash, savings that will allow you to survive for a long time amidst change or turbulence. Nature is the anti-turkey. It gave us 2 kidneys, 2 lungs, and for men, 2 of another thing as somewhat of a backup. That's the opposite of living paycheck to paycheck. 6. The anti-library. Taleb tells the story of his first time in the personal library of the Italian novelist, writer, and erudite Umberto Eco. The library contains more than 30,000 books, and Umberto splits his guests into categories. Those who react by saying, "Wow, Signore Eco, what a library you have. How many of these books have you read?" And the other, a small minority that understand that a personal library is a research tool, not an ego-boosting possession. The whole idea is that unread books are more valuable than read ones. The knowledge you don't know yet is more valuable. This is something I personally apply in my life. I spend a lot on books and keep on building my anti-library, that shelf that contains books you didn't read yet. I'm a voracious reader, and the unread books on my shelf keep reminding me how much I don't know. Knowledge seeking should not be used to prop up your ego, but to keep learning. And books are anti-fragile. They tend to multiply. Every book leading you to another, every author introducing you to a new one. And Taleb links this to its opposite that makes us fragile, the confirmation bias. This is a lesson of utmost importance. We can never infer a theory out of confirmation. No matter how many white swans you see, you cannot conclude that all swans are white. Just because you met O.J. Simpson a few times and he didn't commit any crimes in those few instances, doesn't mean he didn't kill his wife. Absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Another interesting book that I just finished reading is The Folly of Fools by evolutionary biologist Robert Trivers. The author argues that human beings evolved to deceive themselves. And self-deception not only helps us enhance our self-image, soothe our anxiety, and keep our self-concept from collapsing, it also helps us deceive others. The better we believe our own lies, the better we can persuade others to believe them. And this happens in a way through our confirmation bias. We're interested in ideas, observations, and beliefs that reinforces our existing worldview. We evolved with the selective focus that looks for confirmation. Why Taleb argues that real self-confidence is the ability to change one's mind when presented with opposite evidence. And lastly, positive black swans. The rare events with a huge positive impact. Black swans aren't only about catastrophic events, risks of ruin, or negative outliers. The other half is about positive outliers and how to benefit from them. Serendipitous encounters. Think of how you met your romantic partner, or that acquaintance who ended up presenting you with your next opportunity. In my personal life, a few life decisions made all the difference. Moving from Casablanca to Paris for an internship, which ended up getting me a fully paid degree in a top business school, which opened the doors for me to get an opportunity here in New York City. Taleb warns against getting caught up in grunt work and missing out on these opportunities and lucky breaks. You want to work hard at collecting these positive black swans, gaining exposure to them. That's why living in big cities can be life-changing. Network scientist Albert Barabasi wrote one of the most important books on the topic. In his book, The Formula, he shares how performance drives success, but when it can't be measured objectively, let's say in art, creative work, or some business opportunities, network drives success. Basquiat's paintings sold at $100 million cannot be measured objectively against another artist. But what made the difference for him as an artist is that he was well integrated in New York City's inner circle and had Andy Warhol as a friend. Taleb also explains that positive black swans also contributed a lot in scientific discoveries. Serendipity was behind Viagra, penicillin, the internet. Happy accidents that changed history. Tinkering and keeping an open mind can be a deadly combination. Those were the 8 big ideas from the Black Swan. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one.